Yeah, as far as I know, Henry Downes came over as a merchant for Bristol, and he settled here and set up the business, but he never married. So he had a few sisters and things, so the business probably went down through the sisters, so that's how we think it got into our family. Now, we know John Henry Fanning, who would have been the local big solicitor, was actually owner of it around the time when Henry Downes died, so we don't know how it got to him, but it's interesting that from him then it worked its way down through the family, through the female line.
Oh, 1 second. Is John's glasses okay, or are they reflecting good?
The glasses are okay, but I hear your shoes squeaking.
Oh yeah, that's like...
That's the only thing fans.
That sounds mine, right?
Okay.
How far did I get? How far did I get my history?
And sorry, and how did they get them from Downes's to the Bromhead?
Okay, so John Henry Fanning's daughter was called Elizabeth, and she married, they got a fellow over to run the business called Henry Oliver Bromhead, and he was from Suffolk, and he was completely useless and did no work whatsoever. But he but he married into the family anyway, so he was doing quite well out of it. So anyway, the reason I got to Bromhead was that woman, Elizabeth, around 1916 realised that her name was very English, Broomhead. So she changed it to Bromhead to make it sound more Norman or French, because there would have been a Norman and French connection here. So it was changed to Bromhead. So any Bromheads in the world have to be related to that woman because she started off the name. So that's interesting.
So it's quite a unique name.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's actually a tree planted, when she was born, there was actually a tree planted in Viewmount. So they probably lived in Viewmount House maybe at that stage.
Okay, because was it your land where the hospital is now?
Yeah, Ardkeen. My father was born in Ardkeen Hospital when it was actually a house.
Wow.
So that was 1943, I think he was born. So yeah, then they sold it off to the hospital bought it then, and then they moved out to Knockeen where Henry trains the horses now.
And sorry, when they sold that land, it became it was one of the first hospitals for the TB, wasn't it?
I don't know that now. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a TB hospital. I'm not sure. It could have been. Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to your man, the chemist, and he said, and the head boy got it for a very good price.
Okay. Well, my granddad, all he wanted to do was train horses. Like, he wanted to farm and train horses. Horses was his passion. He was the master of the hounds for the Gaultier hounds. So, and then he always had a couple of... What they used to do is buy cheap horses and cheap fillies and try and train them on to win a race and then improve their value. And then my grandmother was great at wheeling and dealing horses. She was originally a rowan from Middleton. So she used to wheel and deal. That was her. She loved wheeling and dealing.
And then sorry, okay, we won't get there yet, but hang on, let's go back then. Because your father, John, and his brother, tell us how they then got involved.
Well, as far as I know, the business was changing from wholesaling, and Harry came back, and Harry was an interesting type jockey. He had his own style, but he wanted to try and keep fit, and he realised that squash was going to be a big... When he was over in England, he must have been over in England doing something, and he realised squash was going to be a big thing, and it was a good way for him to keep fit. So he said, if we have a squash club, people come in, have a drink. That was in the days when sports didn't necessarily mean you didn't have a drink when you're doing your sport. So you'd play your game of squash and have a couple of drinks and bring in people. So in the 70s and early 80s, squash was huge, so we could have 200 or 300 members. So it was great, and even if a percentage of them dropped in for a drink on their way, it was great. So it was a good start to the whole thing. It got things started. And then we were close to the docks. Let's turn it off. So the docks were in full flow at that stage when they took over. So there was a lot of hard men around. So we had a local character called Paddy Cullen who sat at the bar. He would be in the local regular, and if a fella came in that he knew was a complete dodge, he'd give Dad the nod, and Dad would say, "No, I can't serve you," because all the dockers were grand, most of them were grand, but there's one or two are just going to be too much trouble. They're just not worth it.
So Paddy was like an unofficial bouncer? Yeah,
he was. Yeah, he sat at the counter. I can remember sitting there when I was a kid. He'd be there. Like, people just came in. That was their time. He probably came in at 4 or 5, and he'd go home for his dinner, and he might come out for another few pints afterwards. And his son actually still delivered to us up to a few years ago for Kylie's, so there was always a connection. Like.
And your dad probably gave him a few drinks or something?
Yeah. Well, knowing my dad, he wouldn't give him too many drinks. He'd give him the odd drink. Unless a horse won, and then it went complete, yeah. If a horse won, then all hell would break loose, yeah. That was good, yeah. So, that's what we could.
And just to go back to you were saying that it was originally, you used to deliver a drink to an off-lot business.
Yeah, I have ledgers there from the 1909 on. It's just, they're the ones that are only left that I could find. But all the places all around Ballyhale, within about a 30-mile radius, we would have delivered wholesale whiskies and sherries, ports, even Guinness, I'd imagine, to some of the bottled their own Guinness as well. So, and there would have been lots of places around Waterford did that.
And there's some fantastic photographs from the pool collection of the vans outside your premises.
Yeah, this seems to be more and more pool collection going up as they go through them. There's a lot of, we got a few of the photographs done up, just to have a few of them, but they are nice to see.
Oh,
yeah. It's amazing. We got one of the digital ones, and you could actually zoom in and see a person's face. They're so good. Yeah.
And then, you know, the way you've got loads of ground, like you've got stores and all that area. I mean, do you remember them being, when there was bottling going on?
I can just about remember was washing bottles. I can remember the bottle washing plants going and filling, but barely remember that. That's probably 75. I think that was about 77 that all stopped, because Irish Distillers put a blanket ban on. They only kept everything in house. Then they wouldn't supply anyone, small suppliers anymore.
Okay. But you still do the blended whiskey?
Yeah, we still keep our own blend, try and keep the name going.
Okay.
And we'll go global one of these days, of course.
Inshallah. And then, you mentioned Paddy Cullen, but what other regulars would you remember from the pub?
I'd remember we used to get the managers over from CIE. There wasn't a lot of work done by the management after 1 o'clock, I'd have to say. And I won't mention their names because probably some of them are still alive. but there was you just used to get your regular. It was different. What used to happen, people would come in after work, they'd have a couple of pints, and then they go home, and the dinner would be ready for them. The whole social structure of life was different. And now people would be appalled if you told them how people behaved. But it was just the way it was, and people, there was enough money in one wage to be able to own your house. So people looked after, the social structure was completely different in life.
So whenever the doctor was finished, they'd be in, and whenever...
At the bus station,
bus station. They'd be in, and so on.
And you'd have, Denny's was around the corner, and there was a cold storage place up in the corner as well, where there's a block of, I don't know what's there now, but there was a HB ice cream used to have a depot there, remember that? And then you'd Gardener's World had a place, and then the PMPA had a garage right opposite. It was much more thriving. It's completely, they let it, Waterford Corporation in their wisdom, let the place die a death really, in fairness. We're lucky we're still going at all. It's just because the novelty of where we are and the fact that we have a lot of history keeps us going. But they haven't done much. Hopefully the cultural quarter now will bring the area back up again, but they have let it die a death.
And speaking of which, the car park across from you did have a place across there as well.
Yeah, the house straight opposite us would have been, Harry would have lived there for a very short time, but it was always just too big. There was stables and everything in there, it was massive in there.
And the area gets its name from St. Thomas's Church, which was there originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, we think that's in the car park somewhere.
Right.
As far as I know, it would have been there. There's definitely there was gravestones there at some stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like you said, your dad, Harry went off then to concentrate more on the horses.
Yeah, farming. Well, he was farming and horses, more on horses, yeah. And Harry had a great knack with horses because Harry was a very, very determined man. He couldn't take losing in any ways, but he'd never be harsh. Like on a squash court, Harry on a squash court was like, no one could play Harry on a squash court because he'd be berating himself so much. But he just wanted to win. So he was ideal for horse racing because that's wanting to win is a very big thing. But he was successful, but he was never in a low grade way, low grade horses, and he trained them well. And then Henry took over, and he's obviously gone the other way. He's had some great horses, and then once one thing builds to another, if you have a good horse, and then he's flying now, so it's brilliant for him.
I mean, could you see that coming? Could you see Henry's rise coming, or was that a surprise?
I could see how hard he worked and his determination, and as he said himself, it was one little stroke of luck changed his whole career, and then once his luck, that little bit of luck came into it, he had the work ethic and everything. He worked I couldn't do his job. He was working 7 days a week. He's always on the phone to owners, different owners. You have to keep them going all the time. So he's great to keep, and he's got a really good personality on the radio, television, and he comes over as a genuine person because he is a genuine person, which is nice to see.
But it's an awful pity in the sense that your father and your uncle didn't live to see.
Oh, my uncle's Harry's still alive.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
But it's an amazing success story.
Yeah. My father would have. It was even the fact that we couldn't celebrate the victories ourselves. Like I haven't been able to talk to Henry or anything. We can't go out there because, he's trying to keep his bubble thing. So we couldn't even celebrate that he won the thing. The day he won Cheltenham, all the races in Cheltenham, and he won we were closed in the pub. Like even if everyone didn't come in to enjoy it with us, it would have been great just to have our own friends come in and say, look, this is unreal. No one's ever going to do what he did again, so it's great.
It's mad.
Yeah.
Strange time.
Yeah.
And then you were mentioning some of the other places. Can you remember just when you were growing up as a child, what places were in existence around the area that?
Yeah, there's Collins Street down from us to the left. I'm just starting to remember, now that you say this, Vic Curry used to have a little corner shop on the corner. That's where Sammy Swar is now. That used to be a great little shop. You used to get great ice creams. We used to run down for ice creams and whatever, 5 pence worth of sweets, you get loads. And then further down on the left, there was sort of a shop where you'd buy, one of the shops like you could buy toys, hammers, you could buy everything in there. But that's gone. Do you remember that shop?
I can't remember.
No, well, we would have been kids just at the right time to hit that. But there's all sorts, and there's no shops around at Collins Street now at all. But we used to go all sorts of shops down there, and there used to be the Greenshell Stamp place used to be on the right-hand side. Remember the Greenshell Stamp place?
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, that was massive. Yeah. It was thriving around our area. And then when that all started to fade, the Bridge Hotel opened up their music venue, and we would have got great run out of that before people went to concerts, and they always had good concerts down there. Then the Metro Hotel became the Metroland. They always had things on, and then the Forum. What was that before? What theatre was that before?
Actually, it's kind of interesting because you'd kind of forget that now, that end of town was kind of like
where all the nightclubs were.
A lot of music and nightclubs and all that kind of stuff down there. You had like
and the Roxy as well. Sorry, I forgot about the Roxy as well.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting that end of town was kind of.
The 4 nightclubs, they're all, the Bridge Hotel's just gone to a straight hotel now. Metroland's been turned into the Fitzwilton Hotel, which just run out as a hotel. The Roxy is now apartments. What else did I say? The Forum is now a bingo hall. I mean, so now everyone, in fairness to Waterford, everyone's tried to run a music venue, but no one's ever seemed to keep one going very long.
Yeah. And we all give out of it.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
We all give out, but we never go.
Yeah. And then within your own pub too, I mean, you have you have the well inside the pub.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a big, huge place. Like, how do you manage to keep it all going?
Well, it's hard to maintain. In fairness, some of the maintenance is, the last 2 years now, I haven't been able to afford any maintenance, so I'm just worried about the whole place because it's all 200 years old. So now we did renovate our toilet. While we were closed, we said we had better do something, so we renovated the toilets, so got them up to standard again. They had fallen down. But you're just constant worry about where a leak is going to come in or something. So we just hope now that things will pick up again and we can afford to do a bit more maintenance and stuff again. But basically what you have to do is keep doing a little bit every year, keep going. And our place, like as you say, we have the well. The well, no one knows how old the well is. There's a couple of wooden pipes come out of it they're possibly over 150 years old. They're there still. And what else do we have? This unusual snooker table, which can't be used at the moment, of course, because you can't walk around the table. You're not allowed to walk in the pub. But so you can't use that. What else do we have that's strange? Squash courts had to close because of insurance, because beating your head against the wall of insurance. I paid a full year's, you don't have to put this in, but I paid a full year's insurance last year and I was open 3 days. I paid 5, 6, 7 grand insurance for 5 days. Yeah, it's crazy. And I got no money back out of that.
And just generally about pubs and Waterford.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a few of them are closing down.
Yeah, they've all turned into apartments. Yeah, they're going to... See, it's a different... The midweek... See, the whole thing has changed. People want to all be out in the one night then as well. And then it's very hard to get someone to work because everyone wants to go out the one night when everyone's out. So, yeah, the whole scene has changed, like. But you can't... Not every pub can turn into a restaurant either, so... There's our little end of culture quarter now. What I like about it is we have... With two pubs two pubs at Collins Street, ourselves and Ishkabaha, and then teenagers possibly up the side a little bit more. They're all drinking pubs. Go for a drink. Not completely madness pubs, just pubs where you can go for a drink, have a bit of socialisation. No one's going to be eating food around you. You don't have to put up the smell of food. You're just going out for a few drinks, meet friends. And it will create its own little... When we're allowed to move around a bit more again, people move from one to the other. We'll have one here, and then we'll go up there, and then we could go a little circle, which will create its own little... Which is good, because we were very much on our own for a while there. There was no one left on our side at all, so it'll hopefully start joining up again. Yeah.
Okay, and what about, just before we finish...
I never stop talking, do I?
What?
I never stop talking once I get going.
Well, like, for example, up around the Glen or up around that area, would you have any memories of any places that are gone now from way back?
Yeah, well, obviously the Showboat was there. The Fleming's pub was across the way, beside the forum is now. There was Fleming's, and then it became Prenderville's. What else was up around that way? Yeah, there was just all the pubs in Ballybricken. There's a few of them disappeared as well that we would have wandered around to as well. So it's just...
And you didn't say much about your dad, John.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a character.
Yeah, he had his own rules about how he did things. So. Well, it's hard to describe him. One day he could tell you you're barred, and the next day he'd forgotten that he barred you, and he'd say, how come I haven't seen you for so long? He said, well, you barred me. I said, well, I forgot. Or other times, if you're barred forever and a day now, you were barred forever and a day. You'd never get back in if you really annoyed him that much. But you'd have to be fairly bad to annoy him that much now. But he felt that as he was running the pub, if people should behave the way you expect to behave for yourself, but then again, he didn't always behave himself when he went out himself. So no, generally we like to keep it sort of a calm place. You don't want anyone going completely bananas. Everyone should respect each other, and that's how we try and run the place. And in general, that sort of works out well for us. People know that it's a safe environment. Even now, the way we've set it up, it's set up safely for people. So.
Well, I remember too, though, I mean, he was kind of lenient in some ways as regards, for example, I remember it was one of the first places I could go for a drink.
Yeah.
You know, I was 16.
Yeah.
And he would lead us into the lounge.
Yeah.
Up top.
Oh yeah, the way hidden. I used to hate that lounge.
He said, don't come down.
Yeah, I don't know. He had a strange way of looking at things. Because then he could turn the other way another day. He often people come in and he go, what age are you? And they go, 18, and it'd show them ID, and he go, I've been serving you for a year. You can get out now, he said. So he was a man of contradictions. But everyone enjoyed him because he was a character. He always had a back problem, which is family. So he always had a crazy sort of, Pat Murphy, the famous artist, made him a leather belt, which I still have somewhere. I must look for it. And the leather belt used to hold him together. But he used to take it off and swing it at fellas. Well, he wouldn't, just to give him the fear. And he was very calm up to a point, but he had a switch. And if you turn that switch, you wouldn't want to get in his way now. You keep out of his way. But I mean, I worked with him for the whole time, and I don't think we ever had a crossword between the two of us. And which is, considering we were always, we did annoy each other, obviously, some way or other, but we just never had a crossword with each other. It was just...
And what's that like, John? I mean, obviously this is a personal question, but when you're born into a family where there's a business, and you end up taking over from your father, is that difficult?
It can be, it is. It's different because you feel like, well, at least in fairness, I went away for a few years and came back, so you appreciate more. I'd say if I'd stayed there and hadn't gone away, I would have been more wondering what I was missing. Where I actually appreciated a bit more that I think if you go away and come back into it and you want to sort of, even though you give out at times, you do sort of want to do it. You go, well, at least I saw something else and it wasn't really that much better. It's still nice to be. I like Waterford. I love living in the centre of Waterford because I can walk anywhere. If I want to go out, do anything, I can walk most places. Kids, we can walk to school, so that's great. That's great for them, and they get to know local people as well. You know what I mean? So it's all nice to live in town at times now, and I think more people shouldn't be living in town. I think that's.
But that whole thing of when you went away, at least, and you came back to the business, and you didn't resent having to be in the business.
No, I didn't. Yeah, so I came back because my father had a runner in the Grand National for some reason. My aunt gave him a horse that tried to kill it. My aunt gave him a horse that tried to kill my uncle. So she said, "You can have the horse. I can't do anything with him." He did it anyway, and he kept a record of how much the horse cost him for the year. And he said, never accept a present that eats. So that'll be wise words now for you to remember that one. I won't tell you how much it cost him, but that was his wise words. He was a great man for keeping records. He kept a record of the turnover from the first day he started till the day he died. He kept a record of the turnover. So I've kept it. I've actually stopped doing it now, but I did it up to before the pandemic. I've given up now and I can't do it anymore. But I used to have to I converted it back to pounds because that's what it was. Because I forgot to keep it just going to euros, just because the way he'd done it. So I'm actually stopped now. I think the year and a half being closed has broken my heart that way. So I just don't feel I can record it all anymore.
Was John then a good businessman in the sense that?
Yeah, he was meticulous. Well, he kept it going. We're still going anyway, where a lot of pubs aren't, I suppose, if you look at it that way. It's nice to see, there's still a few nice family-run pubs left in town, but they're slowly going. Like the Fitzgeralds have the Munster, Tosh has his pub, Jordan's. But if you think there's only a few more after that, the rest of them now they're just businesses. Family-run pub is a milestone around your neck. You're there 7 days a week. We cut it down. We've taken off 2 days at the moment, just until things settle down, see how things lie. But Jordan's would have been a day, open days. They're sort of giving up the days now as well. We gave up the daytime trade 10 or 15 years ago because you're just standing there all day and you're just talking to people. You're basically become a social worker. I wonder why my wife doesn't throw me out. It's because you're sitting here talking to me for 14 hours a day. It's fairly obvious.
That is.
Yeah.
That is an element in the sense that if somebody comes in their own, they're sitting at the bar,
has a chat.
They want to have a chat.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple in from Clare yesterday, and they came in, and they'd read somewhere that we were, just somewhere slightly different. So obviously I had to sit away. They were sitting at the table, but normally they'd be sitting at the counter and you'd be having a chat to them. But it was quite enough, so I just chatted away to them. And I think they came in for one drink, but they had three. And they had a nice chat, and it was nice to have a little bit of conversation. I'm squeaking my shoes again. It's nice to have a conversation with them. You know what I mean? Nice to be able to. That's what I missed about the pub. Even though everyone says to me, "What the hell did you do for 18 months?" I said, "I have 3 kids. I have a house. I have loads to do." I mean, I could have done, but I actually miss the being friendly to people and having a chat.
Because it's not true though. If you grow up in a pub, you end up being more social.
Yeah, you do. But I was chronically shy when I didn't really until I came back I went off pretty much after school, so until I came back I was still quite shy, and I had to grow into it really. Yeah, so we're hoping our kids now are, one of them's just old enough to start collecting glasses now, and he's quite shy. But I actually seen him already. He's already starting to chat to people a little bit more, so hopefully that'll come out in him now.
And when you were a kid in the pub, did you done jobs for your dad?
Yeah, we collected glasses. We bring in the bottles. Now we couldn't carry we could just about carry the cases with the empty bottles in because there was 24 they were that size, the cases, 24 large bottles. You could barely carry them when they're empty. Now you have no chance carrying them when you're full. But at that stage all we had was a Smithwick's tap, a Guinness tap, and large bottles of Guinness. You'd have about 96 large bottles on a shelf, and you'd probably fill them a couple of times during the day because that's the main thing that was sold.
And if someone asked you for a large bottle of Guinness, what would it be? Which one would it be? What company?
Large bottle of Guinness. Should have to be Guinness.
No, I'm saying would it be Sullivan's?
No, we would have been Kylie's, but before that we would have done our own. Okay. Yeah, but it would have always been Kylie's. We would have stuck
so
it.
If someone asked for a large bottle, of that Kylie.
Yeah.
But they could ask for a particular bottle if you had.
I don't remember the choice was that much in those days.
Okay.
When I was there, the choice was gone.
Okay.
You got what you got.
We're looking to get.
But fellas, can I have it off the wall, off the stone floor? Or can I have it off this? And you're going, they all taste the same. Like it's just. But fellas that swear blind that some are different to others, and they're not. But it's also often what you've eaten or the thing the day before or whatever what's on your palate. But the best thing you can do is agree with them. Yeah, because they're not going to change their mind no matter what you say to them. So you just agree with them anyway. If someone says, I've often had a fellow come in and say, that pint's rotten, right? I'll get you it from the other tap. So you give it to them from the same tap, and you tell them, "Oh, this tap is going all night." And it's the same. It's the next pint along. Geez, thanks very much. That's lovely. So there you go. Because they obviously the first point is they've cleared their palate and they're ready to go again. But it's easier than saying, no, you're wrong. Because no point telling the fellow he's wrong when he knows he's right.
But the point again is, if you go back,
Yeah.
there was more of an art in putting
Yeah,
it way back, wasn't
yeah, because there was more, the forward was more head and then backwards. So it was actually a bit of an act to them, yeah. Now it's fairly,
It's standard.
everything's standardised because they had to standardise everything. Yeah.
And sorry, do you remember when you were a child, like, did you ever have to, as kids, have to run down to the bookie office if I was to back horses?
Not so much, no. But there was a betting shop down around the corner, yeah. But no, I don't remember. We were probably going down doing our own bets.
Where did your dad back? Where did he back the horses?
He used to do it with, what's the name of the fella? Savage is all I can think of. His name is, I can't really think of his name. The son comes in it, but I can't remember the name of the father. So he had one time anyway. At one stage, there was a very high tax on betting. It was nearly 20%, I think. So there was a lot of private accounts with bookies. So Harry had two winners one time, and he put £100 each way on. He put £100 each and £100 each way double, which was a big bet at the time anyway. But the maximum you could win in a normal bookie shop was £2,000. So anyway, he'd won a little bit more than that, and he had to go and collect it in the Apple Market in a brown paper bag. So we had a good few nights out on that one, as far as I can remember. I don't think he was sober for a week now after that one, I'd have to say.
And I mean, bookies anyway generally made the money. It was unusual for them to pay out.
Yeah, well, they had their own percentages. They'd get it back somewhere. They knew they'd get it back off them some stage. That's the way the bookies work. Yeah, but he used to gamble a bit as well. But sure, we never knew how much he gambled or whatever, so he could have gambled.
But he never played cards or anything?
No, never. He wouldn't. No interest in cards at all. He would have played patience to drive us mental all the time, but he wasn't a poker. He never did any of that poker and that.
And Joe, you said that your ancestors were involved in the hunt and all that. Did that stop? Did your uncle and John, did they weren't interested?
No. Harry never had any interest in hunting. He might have maybe gone when he was a kid. They might have gone as kids with ponies and things, but I don't think they really ever had any much interest after that. As far as I know, anyway, I don't remember seeing anything.
And then, John, where did you go to school? Did you go to Wood Park?
No, I went to Newtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so therefore you played rugby and all that kind of stuff quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's kind of interesting in the sense it's like a different world, isn't it? We say, like that area around Thomas Street, a great working class area and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I was sent to St. Declan's first, but my father didn't like the fact that I don't know who's in charge, used to have a leather strap at the door, so that my father went to Glenstall, and he never overly enjoyed the Jesuit education, shall we say. So once he saw the fellow there with the leather thing, he said, I'm not sending you there, so he sent me up to Newtown. And I was basically there, because I wouldn't do any homework when I went home, I did my homework and everything at school. So I was basically there from 9 to 9 most days.
In Newtown?
Yeah. Wow. Because if I came home, I'd do nothing, because I'd go down the bar and give a hand and start talking to the lads, So I was there. I used to get tea there and everything. And then sport was a great school. Now, what little education I got there, I didn't enjoy my sport, so that was what. And my only claim to fame is I played rugby with Nick Popwell. That was about as much. The only excitement. We never won in. We used to beat our only thrill was beating Water Park every year in rugby.
And was he a bowler at that time?
Yeah, he was a border. Yeah, all the Popwells were very highly talented. The other fellow used to throw javelin for Ireland, and they were all just annoyingly good at sports.
But it was interesting because certain families would come to bowl in Newtown.
Yeah, they used to go. Yeah, there wasn't many Quakers left when I was there, but there was always a few sort of hidden around. The Pims and the Johnsons. I can't remember any other Quakers there at the time, but there probably was.
And who was the principal when you were in Newtown?
Mr. Wiggum, Mr. Heslop, Mr. Macy, Mr. Collins, and there was another one or two. We had a very big turnover headmaster, so when we were there.
Well, Wiggum was quite.
Wiggum was the last of the. He was the last the one we were there at the start. He was the last of the Quakers, I think. Real Quaker ones. Yeah.
An interesting man, wasn't
he? Yeah. I don't remember much because I would have been
very young.
Yeah, young when he was still headmaster. Okay. I would have been in first or second class, I think.
And then where would your sister gone to school? She got Newtown?
She did for a while, and then she went to the Ursuline. She didn't get on so well in Newtown. I could mention names, but I won't. I could go to court.
Okay, well listen, John, thanks very much.
Grant.
And some other time we will go up and film.
Yeah.